All right, so tip of the day again. We've got one every day going out, and I think this one is probably one of the most fundamental ones. And when it comes to building your own business, it's a real reason why people win or fail. It's also a reason why I feel I've done very well. I've embraced this. It started with me kind of trying it, and now it is very much a cultural thing for me. And it is a reason why you end up getting results, but also those in your team and those who are in your ecosystem, you end up helping them get results as well, and that all turns out so well. And it's the ownership of your business to the point where you make everything your fault. Okay, so it starts, to begin with, you might think there's a little bit negative of an approach, but there really is some good value in doing this. If you make everything your fault, what you're saying is, I'm making everything within my control, or at least influenceable by me. Some things genuinely aren't. It's not your fault that it's raining, but you can do something about if you get wet or not. Okay, so the point is you are always able to influence something, and you need to bear that in mind. And I think there's a really good example of this recently. It was interesting because I was walking through the city, and there was a shop, and that shop had a sign in the window, and it said, "Due to circumstances beyond our control, we've had to shut or close down." Okay, and it got me thinking. Now, I don't know the owner or the set of circumstances that were out of their control, but my view of it was, I bet the circumstances weren't fully out of their control. Again, anything could have happened there. It could have been something catastrophic, which meant they simply couldn't continue the business. But let's be a little bit more realistic. The reality is, from what I've seen over years, is that often the problem isn't that there's something out of your control. It's something that fully is actually in your control, but you've just simply not done anything about it. It may be like that what's out of their control in their mind was, oh, the rent's gone up, we can't afford to pay the rates to keep the building. That's, being able to pay the rent isn't out of your control. You need to go get more money. You can't affect the prices not going up. But you can do something about being able to pay them. It could be that they felt that there weren't enough staff, or there wasn't enough stock, or whatever it might be, but there are solutions here. And I think when you take ownership to the point where you make everything your fault, you make everything a problem that you can do something about. And when that's the case, you start looking at solutions. You start saying to yourself, we've hit this wall, how do we solve this problem? And it's interesting because it's simply having a different perspective on things. I was in a sales training meeting today with some account managers. So 3 account managers, two account managers really, and their manager. And excuse after excuse after problem after reason after brick wall was thrown at me as reasons why they can't do this, or they can't grow like that, or they're being held back and packages aren't ready, or they can't sell it that way, or that's not the way it's done. And every single time I demonstrated that there was a way in which the problem could be solved, and every time there was silence, and then they went, I suppose that's actually something we could do. Yes, that solves the problem. And one of them was, for instance, one guy was saying, I can't sell these other products, I can't upsell these other products because I don't know how they work. It's like, that's not, you need to make this your fault. You can't expect things to land in your lap. What you need to do is go out and solve the problem. And it's like, oh yeah, but I've asked someone to, see if they can help me, but they've not got back to me yet, as if it's their fault. As if it's someone else's fault that they've not got back to him, because like they're entitled to have someone run in their direction. And it's like, A, have you chased them up? Oh, you haven't, okay. And B, instead of asking someone to provide you with some information, why don't you go and sit next to them and listen to their phone calls, or record a phone call? This is what they did in the end. The solution I gave them was, rather than waiting for some product manager to come and give you a meeting, they record all of their phone calls. So ask them to send you their recorded phone calls so you can hear the product. And it was like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea, I could do that. It's like, yeah, you could record, get the recordings and start taking control of this situation. So everything's your fault. It's a very powerful thing. It's something to live by, and it means that you look deep to yourself first before you make up excuses as to why things don't happen. And it tends to be that things aren't happening usually because of something you've done. Okay, so I hope that helps. Catch you tomorrow for the next tip.